Chapter 8 Revelations in Cairo. As Dale, Sophie, and Dr. Anderson returned to the hotel room in Cairo, the weight of their recent journey hung heavy in the air. They settled in and ordered supper, taking their seats, a dim light casting shadows across the room as they began eating and discussing their next steps in the quest to uncover the secrets hidden beneath the Sphinx. So, Dale began, after going over the plan to gain access to the Sphinx. How did you come to discover the Great Hall of Records, Stephen? What led you to Egypt of all places? Stephen paused for a moment, his gaze distant as he recalled the events that had brought him to this moment. It all started with the photos and video you took in Canada at the Hall of Eternity, he began slowly. I saw something in the video, more murals down the corridors leading away from the main hall, that compelled me to dig deeper. Dale said. Down the corridors that we did not get to investigate before we were abruptly removed by our Canadian government friends. There were murals. I hadn't looked that deep into the video. Yes, Stephen answered. They were too badly distorted to clearly see what they depicted, but that is where I started concentrating my efforts. He turned to Dale, a spark of excitement in his eyes. I used an AI to enhance the images, and what I saw changed everything. Stephen went on to describe the murals he had uncovered, each one revealing a piece of the puzzle that had led him to Egypt. The first mural showed a group of Bigfoot. We are calling them that now, right? Dale and Sophie both nodded in agreement. Seeing this, Dr. Anderson quickly continued. Good, so I saw a group of Bigfoot in a catamaran-like vessel, traveling to an island made up of concentric rings with a large palace in the center. Sophie gasped in astonishment, her mind racing with the implications of Stephen's discovery. So you were saying that the Atlanteans were connected to Bigfoot? Stephen nodded solemnly. That's what the evidence suggests. I have not even gotten to the best part, that comes later in the next murals. It seems that from this mural they knew of Atlantis and how to get there. Now I thought maybe this was an indication of trade or something of the like. That was until I saw the next mural. Dale interrupted Dr. Anderson, asking him, so if they were trading with Atlantis, that would mean Atlantis would have information about what happened to our Bigfoot and their society, leading you to the only place to have the Atlantean records, the Hall of Records described by Edgar Cayce in the 1930s. Didn't that seem like a big leap? Dr. Anderson looked back at Dale and said, There's a lot more to it than that, Dale. Let me finish. You know how much I'd love to tell a story, and this is the greatest untold true story of all time. Looking at the both of them, Stephen continued with a glimmer of excitement still in his eyes. The next mural showed the Bigfoot holding what appears to be a large golden box, turned away from a tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed man dressed in regal attire that I can only describe as ancient Greek. All around them are people of the same stature standing several feet taller than the group of Bigfoot. That's when I concluded that they had to be Atlanteans. They are said to have been 7 to 15 feet tall on average, in the myths that we have of them. They are all dressed in flowing gowns similar to what the ancient Greeks used to wear. A large temple in the background can be seen, with the city on different rings of the island, and great bridges connecting everything. The man directly behind the Bigfoot is holding his left hand flat, signaling stop, while he points back to the ship the Bigfoot had been sailing in the first mural. Sophie quietly said, That's amazing. Stephen nodded and continued. Indeed. And in the final mural, the last one that the AA could enhance well enough to see anyway, it depicted a small group of Atlanteans approaching a large cave entrance. Their clothes seemed to be muddy and torn, with a single Bigfoot in front of them, holding up his left hand, motioning to them to stop while pointing towards a group of smaller, loincloth-wearing, black-haired, savage-looking humans. Stephen stopped and looked at Dale, continuing. After seeing everything that the murals depicted, that is when I decided that the Atlantean Hall of Records would be the only place to have any mention of what we found in Canada. The best that I could tell from the murals' depictions. The Bigfoot had asked the Atlanteans for asylum during the rise of this savage new species. Us humans. Atlantis seems to have turned them away, and in a great irony, destruction came to the Atlanteans as we all know. Atlantis now in its own time of need seemed to have been turned away in kind by the Bigfoot, sending them on to their human cousins. If Bigfoot decided it was worthy of putting into their Hall of Eternity, the Atlanteans must have done the same. After a slight pause from Stephen, Dale decided that it was safe to speak and started. So you decided that your best lead was to start looking for the Hall of Records where both Plato and Edgar Cayce said it would be. Both of whom are discredited by mainstream academia. Dr. Anderson replied, "Of course I did. When chasing fairy tale beasts, why not use the greatest fairy tales told about them? The fairy tale about the Serpentes Obscura is real enough. They are chasing us. It just seems fair to take advantage of all the other true fairy tales," and then he let out a laugh. As they discussed the implications of Stephen's discovery, a sense of wonder and excitement filled the room. The pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place, revealing a story that spanned millennia and crossed continents. It's possible, Dale mused, that the Atlanteans turning away the Bigfoot after asking for their help and protection in their time of need started the story about Atlantis coming to an end due to its hubris. Perhaps it was changed and passed down as a warning to this new breed of man that they were forced to integrate with after being turned away in a cruel twist of fate by Bigfoot. Stephen nodded in agreement. I had thought the same thing. It would explain the boom in civilization 10 to 12,000 years ago, as well as the myths and legends surrounding the lost city of Atlantis. Plato's description of the Atlanteans and their hubris being responsible for their downfall may have stemmed from this very irony. Sophie added, it could explain so many other mysterious coincidences around the world, if we can show the evidence of this event being true. Things like the North Star being named after a dog around the world, or pyramid construction from different civilizations lining up with each other in dimension and layout. Stephen nodded and said, exactly, the proof is down there. We just have to get to it and figure out how to expose the world to this new knowledge. The machine that reads the date on the glass must be amazing. I don't know if we can duplicate how to read them without it. At this Stephen explained, archaeologists have had one of these glass discs on display for 40 or so years now, and because it's been difficult for them to explain, they really haven't looked at it. The Egyptians seem to have come across it and turned it into a piece of jewelry found in King Tut's tomb. So without that machine these will not be much use and will probably be discredited as nothing more than desert glass created by meteor impact. Stephen then held up the yellow glass disc. The room fell silent, each of them contemplating the significance of this discovery. Dale reached out, his fingers grazing the smooth surface of the disc as he marveled at its ancient origins. It's incredible to think that this little piece of glass holds the key to unlocking the secrets of the past, Dale murmured, his voice filled with awe. Sophie nodded in agreement, her mind already racing with ideas for how they could uncover the truth hidden within the ancient artifacts. We'll find a way to decipher these discs and share that knowledge with the world, Stephen. We have to. Dr. Anderson leaned forward, his expression determined. We'll need to find a way to get the machine out of the Hall of Records beneath the Sphinx first. Sophie nodded, her eyes alight with determination. Agreed. We'll need to be careful, though. The Serpentes Obscura are still out there, and they'll stop at nothing to keep these secrets buried. Dale glanced around the room, his gaze lingering on each of his companions in turn. Well then, he said, a hint of excitement in his voice, I suppose it's time to put our plan into action. We'll need to gather our supplies in the morning and make our way to the Sphinx tomorrow under the cover of night. As they now finalized the details of their plan, a sense of anticipation filled the room. They were on the brink of uncovering a truth that had been hidden for millennia. a truth that could reshape the very fabric of history. And as they prepared to embark on their next great adventure, they knew that they would face many challenges along the way. But with their determination, their friendship, and their unyielding belief in the power of knowledge, they were ready to face whatever obstacles stood in their path. For they were not just seeking answers to ancient mysteries, they were forging a new path forward, one that would lead them to the truth, no matter the cost. And so, as the night wore on and the city of Cairo slumbered peacefully outside their window, Dale, Sophie, and Stephen made a silent vow to each other. They would uncover the secrets hidden beneath the sands of Egypt, no matter what it took. Dale glanced around the room, taking in the fatigue evident on their faces. "All right, folks," Dale said, his voice tinged with a hint of exhaustion. "I think it's time we all get some sleep. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow." Sophie nodded in agreement, stifling a yawn. "Agreed. We'll need all the rest we can get." Dr. Anderson, rubbing his tired eyes. "I'm not sure where I will sleep in this small room," he remarked, gesturing to the limited space. Dale smiled. "Do not worry, Stephen. There is a bed under the couch. It is not much, but it should be comfortable enough for the night. It is the least I can do, after you made such cozy accommodations for us in Canada." Dr. Anderson replied with gratitude. "Thank you, Dale. I appreciate it," then laughed along with Dale at this. With their sleeping arrangements settled, they each retired to their respective corners of the room, eager to rest before the challenges that awaited them in the morning. And as they drifted off to sleep, the truth awaited them, tantalizingly close, just beyond the horizon. For the truth was out there, waiting to be discovered. And they were determined to find it.
If you like this chapter or any other chapters, please press the like button and subscribe to get updates and hear the next chapters as soon as they go up.